Hi, my name is Abou Chaudhry. I'm a pulmonary critical care physician and also a lifelong martial artist. And I'm excited to have our first episode of Top Team Talks, where we bring the best of the best here to communicate about everything health and wellness related, as well as combat sport related. Our motto is, Verum Super Omnia, which means truth above all else. Right? We want to make sure that you get the direct, evidence-based information. We're tired of the bullshit. We want to bring it to you direct. We want to bring the best people here to talk to you about it. And today, my first guest and my professor and my friend is Professor Felipe Matos. So Professor Matos is originally from Brazil. He is a well-accomplished Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, over 10 years, has trained and competed at a national and international level. He's recently just won his second MMA amateur fight. He did 2 fights within 21 days. That was pretty, that's not medically sanctioned, but good for him. He won both by submission. So I wanted to kind of bring him here today to talk to about jiu-jitsu, about the origins of jiu-jitsu and some really cool topics surrounding that, as he is the head coach at American Top Team Sandy Springs for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, Professor Matos, tell us a little bit about how jiu-jitsu came to the U.S. It seems like it kind of exploded in the last few years. Everybody's got a jiu-jitsu podcast. Everybody's talking about this. There's gyms opening up everywhere. So how did it get so prominent so fast, and how did it get here from Brazil?
All right, I believe that jiu-jitsu got popular here through the UFC. I think that what's make the jiu-jitsu really, start rising up, and nowadays is the biggest martial arts, the most practiced martial arts in the world, I believe.
Yeah.
The martial arts that most grow in the United States, and definitely UFC brought a level of attention to the sport that was never seen before. And yeah, in the beginning it was a lot of a jiu-jitsu guy versus a boxing guy, a pure challenge between styles. And jiu-jitsu guys, the Gracie family, they had a lot of success and paved the way to what we have nowadays, right? Jiu-jitsu being so preeminent and recognized art, and yeah, I think that was it.
So you're also like the head coach of the kids program for
Yeah.
American Top Team Sandy Springs. And from a medical perspective, I have some crazy statistics I wanted to share with you and kind of get your insights on this, because I know as a kid, martial arts pretty much saved my life.
Right.
So I was interested to see how does it affect kids in the country, right?
Yeah.
And so the Children's Hospital Association has statistics. Recently they said that there's over 2 million adolescent suicides per year.
That's crazy.
And among them, or 2 million, deaths per year, among them 25% being secondary to suicide. Now, when we look at that number, it's kind of like a daunting number. Like, how could a 10-year-old or a 13-year-old actually get to that point,
Right.
Where they don't think that they're worthy enough, or they have that sense of self-worth,
Right.
and then that catastrophic event happens.
Yeah.
Now, there was a study that looked at kids who do sports in middle school, and then they stick with it all the way through high school, and it showed that they have a lesser incidence of that happening versus those who don't, or those who quit after middle school. That's why, I've always been a proponent, even with my kids, to keep them going,
Right.
just to kind of build that resilience. What do you think jiu-jitsu offers these kids, and how could it help them, get that emotional resilience that they need?
Yeah. Brother, I can tell by myself, by personal experience. I lost my dad when I was a kid, and definitely was something that completely messed me up, right? I was, just a very, I was always getting myself in trouble, and I had a lot of anger, right? And anyways, after Jiu-Jitsu gave me some direction, some outlet to transform my anger, my bad feelings into something different, into motivation, into something that I got passionate about it, and then I want to get good at and start competing, and being around good people, being around people that that are doing good things, you know, that are trying to make big things happen.
Right.
And other than that, I think the nature of the sport itself being, you know, like physical, where you've put yourself in uncomfortable positions and you learn how to get out of there and to fight back. It gets you a level of confidence that definitely help you to face challenges and be more resilient. You know, like the way I see it, especially like for the kids, like bullying is something that's very, you know, common nowadays, and
It happens all the time.
it happens all the time.
Cyberbullying, kids are always on the internet, you know, they're always
Exactly.
getting attacked. I was talking to my wife about it. She said, like, you know, back when we were younger, like you'd come home, you didn't have screen time.
Right.
You went and talked to your parents, you had dinner at the table.
Yeah.
You know, now you come home and nothing turns off, right?
Yeah.
You're still on social media, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, with Snapchat, with Twitter, or what X, whatever it's called now, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting bombarded by these comments like, oh, you know, it doesn't turn off, right? Kids are still affecting you, so that really affects, I think, to your point,
Yeah.
their like ability to handle that emotional attack on a constant 24/7 basis.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of fear-based, right? What
Yeah.
happens with bullying, but I tell that to my kids, like to my students, when they start training and they start going, you know, live training, sparring, and being able to literally like scrap with other kids in class, and they see how the technique works. They see how like it really works. You know, how you can really control and pin an opponent and force your will upon them. You know, and choke and arm bars, whatever. So that type of confidence, like, it's really hard to break it,
Right,
because when
right.
you get to a regular environment, to a school environment, like if somebody try to bully you, first of all, you have that type of confidence that you start walking different, right? You start being different. People can just feel the energy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just like, you know,
Like, you know how to carry yourself.
you
have
know
a
how
sense
to
of
carry yourself,
confidence
like,
because you know you can protect yourself.
Exactly. And then if something happens, you have that type of confidence, like inside you know, man, I train hard. I spar with really tough guys.
Right, right.
Like, man, what's this guy gonna do to me? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if something happened here, so it gets to a different point on your mind. Your mind just change. You know,
Yeah.
you don't see things like you're a different person now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're not you're above the average. You know what I'm saying? From the total picture, on the big picture, how many people, how much percentage of the population has that skill?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you're walking in the streets, like how many people around you have that type of skill? You know that you're different. You know what I'm saying?
And to your point too, like if you're somebody that, you know, gets, you know, in a controlled environment like a gym, like you have to kind of practice that resilience on a constant basis. Now you've almost like conditioned yourself to be able to handle things that are coming at you outside the gym, right?
Right.
Because you've already tapped, you know?
Right.
You've already like had somebody who's stronger than you, bigger than you, who's like friendly, but like, you know, has exerted there. So you know if that situation ever, you know, happens, you know, okay, well, I know how to survive this. So if it's something in a lower, you know, intensity, like somebody's screaming at you, verbally abusing you, things of that, then you know, like, you know what, I can handle that. I can surely handle this.
Exactly.
No, I see that with my son when he's in your classes. Like, I see that has changed in like 7 months. I mean, he went from a super shy kid to the, you know, and he would have those times where he didn't want to come, and a lot of parents would be like, you know what, we want to take our kids out. But to your point, you got to gently continue that process so that they build that resilience. And then even the studies show that you got to keep them through it, right? You can't just like okay, we're gonna do a couple years and then they're gone. Like, no, you have to like build that resilience and then sustain it, right?
Yeah. I
So,
feel like on that end, there's a lot of the individual, the kid, the student realizing and being able to see things change. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like when he got here, he couldn't do nothing.
Right.
He couldn't shrimp. He couldn't whatever do the warm up.
Yeah.
Right. And now, like each class, he's like, okay, I'm doing more, to the point that he start going live, and yeah, he's getting smashed maybe, but for those who have that, who keep going
Like
and
his dad, get
keep
smashed.
training, right? And then you start getting to a point that, man, that guy was stepping me 5 times, and then now he's stepping me 4 times.
Right.
And if you keep fighting, you keep learning, you keep improving, now he's, not tapping me anymore.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting my things on him. So
Right.
things start change. And that's something that gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of self-esteem.
Right. What do you think is the, when someone wants to start jiu-jitsu, like we know that, there's Japanese judo, then jiu-jitsu, like, there's the valetudo, like the kind of the evolution of jiu-jitsu that we have now. And people who like see the ADCC, they see these like YouTube videos and everything, they want to come in. Do you recommend that they do, jiu-jitsu with the uniform or the gi first versus jumping to like no gi? Or do you think that it depends on the person coming in?
Man, this is something that, you're going to see people saying that no gi is better, or gi is better, or they should do this or that. I came from a background, a school that I believe in jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? I believe that it's jiu-jitsu. I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter, so I'm ready for everything. I'm ready for defend myself in the street if I need. My jiu-jitsu works in the gi, and works no gi, and works if, in MMA. It's jiu-jitsu, you know what I'm saying? Of course, from a business perspective, on a business side, you're gonna see like schools that are way more focused on jiu-jitsu competition type of mentality, focus on IBJJF, jiu-jitsu sport itself. So other gyms really focus on self-defense, or MMA, definitely. But as far as jiu-jitsu, I think that the way I grew up, the way I learned, like my school was like training the gi, training no gi. Some days like, slap with, combat jiu-jitsu, what we have nowadays, combat jiu-jitsu, but, like we used to call taparia.
Mm-hmm.
So, you gotta be ready, you know what I'm saying? Jiu-jitsu, that's what jiu-jitsu about, right? Like back in the day, like when the Gracie family start fighting on the UFC and making jiu-jitsu so well known, man, they weren't like, oh, I'm gonna train some Muay Thai here, I'm gonna train some box. Like, no, they were jiu-jitsu fighters.
Right.
But in the jiu-jitsu training, like in their training, they were, throwing hands and throwing kicks and throwing everything. But it was jiu-jitsu. It was jiu-jitsu. You know what I'm saying? The jiu-jitsu fighter idea is to be like a complete fighter, right? I can't handle myself. My jiu-jitsu should be working on any type of situation.
So it doesn't matter if you are no gi or gi, as long as your jiu-jitsu is good. That's what matters.
I mean, it depends on what do you want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you want? You're looking to some Gordon Ryan. No, I want to be an ADCC champ. Then I think like, as more you focus on what you want to do, I want to be an ADCC champ. Yeah, man, I think you should focus on Ogi, right?
Yeah.
No, I want to be an IBJJF world champ, right? You should focus more on the gi, right? But like for general, for somebody that never trained before, stepping in a gym for the first time and getting to know the art, I think training the gi is important. Get that first contact with the more traditional roots of jiu-jitsu.
And to that point, I mean, I think it's even when because I grew up doing like kung fu, then taekwondo, then like just kept going like Muay Thai, and then recently just started with jiu-jitsu. But the one thing that I think has been lost with martial arts is that sense of discipline and respect that comes with like the gis and the, that kind of that anchoring to tradition, right? And I think that's a huge thing because it definitely allows us to maintain some semblance of consistency across the sport. I mean, I do think it should evolve like everything else.
Right.
But to your point, I think starting off with that, so you're grounded, is like a good foundation.
Right.
But that kind of brings me to my next point. Belt promotions in kids. I remember when we were looking for where we're gonna, and this is like a hot topic, is, I have like nieces and nephews who are like, I'm a black belt in Krav Maga, right? And they're like 9 years old, right? Or like, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, black belt in karate. And for me, like getting through med school, being a doctor means like, that meant something, right? I meant like, I went all the way through, I worked hard,
way
and
up,
hopefully like I got to where I needed to be. Just like, you know, in any kind of profession that you work hard for. And I think like to my view, like the limited that it is, being a black belt should mean something,
Yeah.
right? What are your thoughts about promotions in general and like the commercialization of martial arts?
Yeah, man, that's hard. I think, first of all, Jiu-Jitsu, IBJJF has a belt system, right? A kids belt system. So we're not doing nothing out of our mind, right? I'm not inventing nothing. I'm not creating nothing on my own, right? IBJJF has a system, and I think the system is really smart. In my opinion, a black belt, it's literally a superpower, right? It sets you apart, right? You're different, period, or it
Right.
should be,
Yeah.
right? But when you give it, when a 9-year-old, 10-year-old holds a black belt, I mean, even if he has the technique level, you know, accordingly, man, that probably not gonna translate, like in case he needs to defend himself against a grown old man, you know, that doesn't have the skill, but it's a grown ass man.
Yeah.
So I think the kids belt system is very important to be followed through, right?
So does that mean that they don't? So no kids in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu
No
get
kids
black
in
belts?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu get black
Okay.
belt. No
So
kids
you
in
have to be
Brazilian
like
Jiu-Jitsu get
you have to
black
be
belt.
over 18 to get a black belt.
The kids belt system is pretty big, right? You go through a lot of different belts and stripes and gray belt, pure gray belt with the black stripe, gray belt with the white stripe, and all the stripes on each belt, and then yellow, same thing with white, with black, and orange with white and with black, and then green, you know, and supposed to at 16, right? It's supposed to start the adult system. So
okay, so
kid,
at 16 they can start the adult system, but
a kid, if you start training like with 6, by age of 6 or 7, you know, he's gonna keep going through the kids belt system until he's 16, where he can get his blue belt, right? And then the adult belt system starts blue and purple and brown and black.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a phenomenal, because it kind of shows you like you have to keep going, right? And like that brings me to the kind of.
And to get a black belt, you gotta be at least 18, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
18 for the.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they still like that.
There's a maturity, right, in that too,
Yeah.
right? You have as a person who like.
Right.
What I've seen in the black belts, like you and other kind of black belts that are, I've been very lucky to have so many friends that are, you know, high-level black belts in Jiu-Jitsu, is that they have a sense of maturity to them, like a sense of like understanding of more than just like the actual moves, right? Like the
still on that end, before somebody start, you know, bringing it, like I also completely agree and think it's a really a great choice by the federation of changing some rules about graduation and timing on the belts for world champions, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They start changing lately with like Mikael Galvão, Diogo Reis, after they
he's phenomenal.
They like had like a crazy fast jump from blue to black belt.
Yeah.
But totally understandable. I mean, man, if the guy go there in a blue belt and he
wins
win worlds and get purple, and I mean, man, the guy, why I'm gonna keep holding the guy, right? It doesn't make no sense. Even if he's not 18 yet, I don't remember exactly how it was, but it was something on that end. And I think that's supposed to be done, right? I mean, each case, you know what I'm saying? Like each case, we should judge accordingly, right? I can't judge everybody equal, but yeah,
you know, like BJ Penn gets a black belt pretty fast.
Yeah.
Giselle gets a black belt pretty fast.
Right? Only her instructor can, you know, tell better, you know, somebody that works.
Yeah, no, that's very, this is very interesting, right? Because like I'm happy to hear that, because there is a governing body that's saying, hey, you know, we have a rule set that's trying to standards to kind of make sure, so you're not just giving out.
But at the end of the
black
day,
belts.
back on the kids thing, sometimes like, of course, you gotta keep, you know, motivating and like setting goals so they can, you know, chase. But at the end of the day, I think like promotions, belts, stripes, etc., that should be like secondary, right?
Yeah.
You're concerned when you bring a kid, and if you're a student here, or whatever, anywhere, you should be concerned about getting better and about your skills, right? And not like about your promotions. Of course, the promotion is going to be a consequence, but you know, if you get promoted but your skills doesn't match, it doesn't make sense.
No, I think that's a great point. I mean, if you know, changing the mindset,
Right.
especially like in the 80s and 90s when martial arts became severely, you know, commercialized.
Right.
You know, like people don't give Bruce Lee enough credit that he deserves. Like as somebody who came here, you know, started Tang Soo Do and started Jeet Kune Do, and then kind of created this whole allowing other people to learn martial arts, and then also from a Taekwondo karate perspective, like that was great when it started, but then over time it became very commercial, right? I mean,
Right.
people standards got loose. Became more of like a money-making process, after-school
Like
specials,
dojos.
like dojos, right? Like, and now
I mean,
think,
this is happening in jiu-jitsu too. You know what I'm saying? I was having a conversation with my professor the other day. Like, man, nowadays, for example, sometimes you want to have your kid start learning piano, and then there's this guy that is like grandson of Beethoven that teaches on his garage. No, you know, no much noise, no much hype. But there's this other guy, you know, Instagram, blah blah blah, TikTok, pá. Porra, the guy's gonna go to the TikToker instead of going to the grandson of Beethoven, because people are more concerned about the rap, the
flashiness
flashy, the hype
yeah.
of, you know, than the content itself, the quality,
Right.
you know, of what being teach.
Yeah.
So it is what it is, man. Like, this is also a part of like the you know, growth of the sport, you know, the America thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is natural. We all gotta just, you know, adapt and keep going. You know what I'm saying? Keep like doing a good job and showing, you know, real jiu-jitsu and the results. You know what I'm saying? And results, like results in terms of competition, of course, but mostly for kids. What you said about your kid, about your son. Like, this is a big result, right? This
Yeah,
is the
huge.
result that impact. This is
Yeah.
the point that will make difference in people's life, right? Transforming a kid that was shy, that was getting bullied, whatever, into somebody confident, somebody that walks there and can hold himself and can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's the biggest like achievement for sure.
Thank you, Professor. I really appreciate it. You know, always learning from you, even on and off the mat.
Thanks for having me.
You know, so we're looking
Great
forward to
talking.
have you back about 1,000 more times.
Let's
so,
go.
Thank you
Looking
so
forward
much.
to come back in here, you know what I'm saying? Talking about some also about other topics. We're gonna bring some truth behind it, so
Yeah.
you know, stay tuned.
Yeah. Make sure you
Let's
like us
go.
and subscribe.
Yes,
Top
sir.
Team Talk.
Let's go.